All right, well, welcome everybody. I guess you're probably used to seeing our parents sitting upstairs in our living room. But today you're getting the younger 5 of the Ware kids. I'm Zachary Ware. I guess I'm one of the engineers in the group. I'm 26. I recently came back to live in the area to be closer to family. And that's about it. So I'll hand over to Ethan.
Yeah. I'm Ethan Ware. I'm number 7 in the lineup and the youngest Ware son. I am also the only Ware to inherit my dad's left-handedness. I'm 24. I attended New St. Andrews College in Moscow, Idaho. Started in 2017, graduated in 2021, met my wife up there. We currently live in Moscow, Idaho. I work as a glazer full-time. My wife watches our 2 daughters under the age of 2 and manages some Airbnbs. That's about it for me.
I'm Mercy Ware. I'm 22. I'm number 8 out of the 10. I live in Moscow, Idaho as well. I just recently graduated from New St. Andrews this past spring. I'm currently working part-time at the Association of Classical Christian Schools, as well as I'll be starting another part-time position at the church that I attend there as the internal event coordinator. And then alongside that, I'm currently planning my wedding. I'm engaged to my very, very wonderful fiance, John. And our wedding is set for the end of August. So,
my name is Jubilee. I'm the 9th child, and I'm 17 years old. I'm now entering my senior year of high school, and I plan to go to NSA, or I hope to go to NSA after I graduate. And I play piano and organ, and I accompany piano at my church. And
you're the most musically gifted, piano-wise and organ-wise.
I'm organized.
Yeah.
Most gifted organs. Bella?
All right. Hi, I'm Bella. I'm the youngest Ware child, number 10. I'm 15 years old. I'm about to be a sophomore in high school. And I don't have a job because I am a child.
You clean up some stuff for money, right?
Oh, yeah. I help clean up my parents' Airbnb sometime.
Yeah. So in terms of conversation, I just wanted to highlight one of the things that really struck me. When I moved back to Owensboro, I did manage to buy a home, even in this current kind of housing market. And one of the things that's really impressed upon me in terms of moving in and being able to make my own space is one of the blessings I had growing up, for sure, was that I think the space that we grew up in was pretty wonderful, especially looking back on it. The thoughtfulness in terms of, trying to create a comfortable space that's not only beautiful and functional, but also that you can have 10 kids kind of run through and, do all kinds of stuff. So like our kitchen table, it's had a lot of memories over the years. There's plenty of scratches on it over the course of time, as we've done stuff. So maybe it's not currently like, the most nice finished piece, but it has a lot of memories built in. And then
Play-Doh underneath.
And some gum.
Glitter on top.
Yeah, it's definitely well marked up. And so one of the things I appreciate, especially not just inside the home, but also the space outside, is there's a lot of great memories running around outside in the fields, walking through paths, digging giant holes for some reason in the yard.
Dug some good holes.
Tunnels.
Yeah, we dug tunnels one time where you could actually crawl through it. That was probably very unsafe. Climbing trees out in the country. So there's just a lot of, I think, really great memories, in this home. And so one of the things that I want to do, that's kind of inspired me, is I want to kind of try to create that environment in my own home, and I'm not there yet. I've still got a lot of work to do. But that's the kind of place that I want to create for others, to have that kind of hospitality, because that's something that our family did participate a lot in, was having people over and being very hospitable. I think some of our best memories is growing up. I would say a lot of people remember our psalm sings, where we'd have people over and we'd just sing psalms and fellowship and have fun and run around the house and catch lightning bugs. And there's a lot of joy in those moments. And so that's something I just wanted to talk about.
I think those are memories. So those stick with me. And then also it's, not uncommon if I'm catching up with one of my friends from down here that they'll say like, oh man, I remember when we used to go to
the warehouse.
The warehouse for the psalm sings, the group studies, just really stuck with them. And just adding to what Zach said, I definitely feel that as a parent, that's something I want to give my kids, is that ability to grow up outside, to have dominion over the land, that we were, mom and dad weren't so cute about their yard, or they didn't make it an idol where we couldn't run out and play in it, dig up some holes out in the property.
A really big hole.
Yep. A slightly too large hazardous hole at one point. Yeah, that was good. I guess, so for mine, I considered a few different anecdotes or a few different principles. I wanted to pick something that was maybe a little different from what I thought the other siblings might do. I really appreciated my parents' guidance and wisdom in the courtship or dating process, whatever you want to call it. I'm not too particular about the terms. But it started young. So growing up, it was always the expectation that we not awaken love before it's time. That was the verse that was quoted from Song of Solomon often. We weren't, crushes were not encouraged. General silliness about relationships like that were not encouraged. With the view that marriage was a good thing and a serious thing, and not to be trifled with. So it was the correct emphasis that because this is such a good thing, we're not going to kind of mess around or play around with it. We're not going to pretend. No, you're going to be married someday, and so you need to, when you're ready to be married, then you're ready to be married.
One thing to jump in really quick, as a young woman, Dad would emphasize a lot too that one of the main goals that he had for us in courtship as his daughters was to protect our heart, and he wanted to keep us from heartbreak. And so encouraging us, especially as a young woman, to not have crushes in order for us to not be hurt. So I don't know what that's necessarily like as a young man, but
Yeah.
That's something that stuck with me.
Yeah, and so when I was going through the process of courting my wife, all of those principles that I had heard for years suddenly became very relevant and very practical. And so when Dad would go through them again with me as I was going through that process, it really stuck out. A few of those principles, just to list them off here. The one really encouraging me and Emma, my wife, as we were going through it, to, especially as the process was beginning, to be careful, once again, to guard our hearts, to not spend long periods of time together, to stay away from superfluous compliments, from very sappy words, from saying I love you, from physical contact, all of these things that are wonderful in their place, but especially at the beginning of the process, they would have clouded our judgment when we needed it the most. And that's been a real blessing, being able to look back on that and be like, wow, I'm incredibly grateful that we had that time to spend thoughtfully considering, all right, what do I think about this other person as a spouse? Another one of these little things that I'll list off was to think about the future wife as being the caregiver, discipliner, trainer, and teacher of your future children, which is a impressive task and not for the faint of heart. And so to think about it's not just, do I think she's pretty? Do I like spending time with her? Is she cut out for the hard work that we're going to have ahead? Which is incredibly helpful. Another one of these kind of little maxims where it's just, I've really appreciated because you can tell it just comes from a person who's seen the world for long enough that they understand what's going on. They understand the wisdom, the principle of the thing. Dad's telling me to consider my wife's parents beforehand. How is their relationship? Is my wife's mother well loved? Those will set her expectations, and she'll likely end up being fairly similar to her mother. So just these kind of principles that give you a glimpse at how the world works. The last one I'll end with was the real emphasis that he always put, which was when you're engaged or you're dating, you're not halfway married. You're not 50% married. You're not even 10% married. You are 0% married. So don't act like you are married yet. The Bible says, can a man take fire into his lap and not be burned? My dad would always encourage us, don't play with the fire before it's time. And then once you're married, burn the house down.
Which is why your guys' engagement lasted, what, 2 months, 3 months?
No, so we knew each other all throughout college.
Yeah.
And we had gotten to know each other well through that. So when we finally started dating, we dated for 5 weeks, got engaged, and then were engaged for 5 weeks, married. We're in our second year of marriage, or no, we're heading into just about 2.5 years married now, and we've got two lovely daughters. So, yeah.
Well, for me, I wanted to talk about kind of a practice that we had growing up, and a lot of, I believe, Christian families have this practice, but it's kind of come back to me in my adult life, and that is we still do, we hold hands when we are sitting around our family table for dinner. When we say the blessing.
Yep.
We don't hold hands the whole time.
Just dunk our faces in.
But yeah, the expectation growing up, even if you were sitting next to maybe your not favorite sibling at the time, well, the expectation was that you would always take their hand when we said the
Who might
blessing.
that be?
We talk about it later. So, and that's something that we were trained up in. And it's not something I thought about a lot until kind of my later teen years, in my early 20s, especially my sophomore year of college. I moved in. She's a very good friend of mine, and it was just the two of us living together. And I was actually her maid of honor, and she's about to be my matron of honor. So yes, very good friends. And we got on a routine of cooking for one another and sharing those meals throughout the week. And so with that close connection, I kind of expressed to her, growing up, we kind of did this, and I kind of I'd love to do that again with you. So in short, we started holding, we would just hold one hand when we prayed before we ate, and that was really special to me, and I was very happy that she would do that with me. And so it's something I realized was important to me, but I didn't quite understand until my senior year, I think, why it was important to me. And so in my senior theology colloquium class, we covered the covenant extensively. And so I came to understand and be very confident in my belief that covenants are as much physical and material as they are spiritual. And I wouldn't have necessarily denied that before, but I don't think I would have said it so confidently. And so because of that, I just see as joining hands when you pray, especially before a meal, as such a tangible way to express your covenantal relationship with your brothers and sisters in Christ. And so I cherish it. And so it's something, and less words, I express this also to my fiance, and we also hold hands when we pray together. So that's something that I really enjoyed. And it was a practice that I just grew up in. And then as I grew older and I, again, learned more about the covenant, I came to really appreciate and put an emphasis on my life that I'm very thankful for. So.
Yeah. Adding on to that, I heard them talk about this in the last video, but singing before meals, that was another one where that was just something we did growing up, where we would sing a psalm or song of praise beforehand to give thanks for the meal, glorify God. It was only once I was a little bit older and I heard Dad tell something else about it, where I was like, oh yeah, it was glorifying God, but also it was just a helpful tool for where if there was some kind of little spat beforehand, we both sing this psalm, giving glory to God. It seems to usually ease the tension. But then also on that, if that doesn't do it, where we wouldn't start the meal if there was strife between two siblings, we would deal with it beforehand. Like Dad was always very conscious not to let that ruin our fellowship, ruin the meal. We're not going to eat while we're in strife with one another. So I always appreciated that.
One of my favorite traditions that we still do is, they kind of talked about it, but we have psalm sings at our house once a month, and basically we just invite our whole church family and a real family and sometimes strangers into our house, and we all sing the psalms, and my dad will sometimes teach a lesson, but sometimes we'll have so many people over that we'll have to open the patio doors, and all the kids will have to sit on the floor, and afterwards we usually have a time of fellowship and some really good discussions. And sometimes people don't leave the house until after midnight.
We try to end at 10, but some people want to keep sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
But Juby's just happy she graduated to the piano instead of the floor.
Guaranteed seat.
Everyone took a turn on the floor at some point in their childhood.
We've all been there.
Rough.
Well.
Well, I didn't really know what to talk about that much. I just thought I'd talk a little bit what it was like being the youngest. So all of my siblings are almost all 2 years apart, except between Mercy and Juby, there's a 5.5 years age gap, and there's a 2 years age gap between me and Juby. So all of my siblings are quite a bit older than me, besides Juby. And I was 11 when Mercy finally went off to college and stuff.
Finally. I went at a normal time in my life.
Finally, honestly. No, but
18, okay?
but so it was definitely, I think, a lot different for me and Juby because we didn't grow up with all of our siblings around. I don't really remember much from 11 years old, so I don't really remember anything what it was like living with all of my siblings in the house, because also by the time I was born, 2 of my siblings were already moved out and off in college and stuff. So I think for me, sometimes I forget I have so many siblings, and I love them all, but sometimes I just forget they're around because we're in very different stages of life. And so Zach was talking about like running around outside a lot and doing that. And I definitely was outside a lot when I was younger, but I remember our parents mom and dad never let me and Juby dig holes in the yard, and that was really sad for us.
Well, I think they learned their lesson with us.
Yeah, they learned their lesson. And also, we never got a trampoline because Mercy got a brain tumor from a trampoline. So we never got that.
I don't think that's how that happened.
From the trampoline.
The secret to digging the holes is just assume permission and then ask for forgiveness later. Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say it's definitely different, but I still have fun. I spend a lot of time with my nieces and nephews, their children, so I'm basically free babysitting, but it's still fun though. But I didn't have much.
It's like you're the oldest sibling to like all the grandkids
All the
now,
grandkids.
right?
Yeah, because between you and the oldest niece, there's only about a
2
year or 2
years.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of continues.
Yeah, but sometimes they see me like a sibling, and then I have to tell them I'm actually their aunt and boss them around some more. So
That goes over great. Trust me. Great.
yeah, no, they're not that bad. they usually listen pretty well, but I don't know, I think it's just definitely different. Also, when I meet new people, they're always very surprised that I have so many siblings. I think some people have thought I was Mormon before because I told them
Catholic,
they're Catholic because I have so many siblings, and I think they do think my life's a little bit kind of like, I don't know, the Duggars. But I think that was more them because
I don't think our life's like the Duggars. I don't think that's
but
the
people,
same thing.
I think people tend to assume.
Oh.
Like I've had people been like, "Oh, your life must be really crazy like that and stuff because you have so many siblings." I'm like, "No, not really," because they're all moved out. So
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of assumptions. But
There are times that are really, like right now, everyone is visiting, everyone is here at my parents' house. But like the day to day, and I remember that when I was in high school, the day to day, it was like, me and 2 younger sisters. And then every now and again, sister would come over with the kids. But for the most part, life became very quiet, I think, when my sister Abby got married and Zach, you went to college that year. And things got a lot more quiet. But
I guess there's different phases because like when I was little growing up, right, it was, Ethan and Mercy were kind of always there younger because Mercy's only 4 years younger than me. And most of the older siblings were there, even though Justin went off to college, at a relatively young age, but it was always kind of full. But then obviously as we get older and more siblings have left the house, they've gone and started their own families, they've moved out to Moscow or, other areas of the country. It changes the dynamic here, I guess, at the home. But then I think the times together are, a lot sweeter and a lot better. Just because I guess, was it distance makes the heart grow fonder or
sometimes they say that.
Absence.
Absence, that's the right word, yeah.
Abscesses?
Anyways.
No. No.
But so it's one of those things when it's quiet, but when it is loud, and it's always very good, and it's a blessing, the noise. But yeah, and Bella, you being the youngest is kind of like, yeah, you missed not all of the 9 older siblings, but like it got made up for by 20 nieces and nephews, all who are within a reasonable age range for you.
Yeah, we didn't have that growing up. Not in the same way. So, yeah.
All right.
Good. Well, thank you guys for watching.
That's Bella's line.
That's Bella's line. Bella.
Thank you all for watching and joining us.
Cut.